Let's look at the design of a spanner from engineering drawing by M.A. Parker and F.P. Cook. Here is a spanner that is drawn with principle of tangency. So what we do now is to first of all look at it. There is a center line. Draw your center line. Square, say square. So now we draw our center line. Center line is drawn with chain line. Then with that same, so we draw our angle 30 degree as towards 30 degree towards this side, while 60 degree to horizontal if there is. So now is to draw angle 30 degree across this point. So I'm going to raise this up a little. Okay. Look at the dimension. We have 40. So that means 20 to the right, 20 to the left. So I'll put my 2 at the center. So I will draw my angle 60 degree pass through. So let me trace back how the orientation that my straight line ruler is taking. Okay, so then I look at it again. I have radius 23 for this particular part. Then I have radius 53 for this particular part. So, and this side is 13 from the center here, from this particular side upward is 13. Same thing goes here. That is 13 to this part. So, but as it is now, let me draw my radius 23. That's radius 23. Then the next is radius 53. So with that same center. So I'm going to open to radius 53. Put at the center again. What next is this particular side, radius 30. Now we'll go look for the center for this radius 30. So now what we'll look at it is this arc of radius 30. What arc is it forming with this initial arc of radius 53? So as we can see, it's entering into radius 53. It's not outward entering into it. So meaning that it's an internal arc. And in the rules of tangency, whenever two arcs are internally tangential to each other, you subtract the two arcs. So now, because this arc, radius 30, is going to be internally tangential to radius 53, therefore, we are to subtract 30 from 53, then we'll put it at the center for radius 53 to mark. Then we also do the same thing. Now, here, it's radius 0. So if you subtract 0 from 30, it's still 30. So we will put to 30 again and put it at this point here to mark. 53 minus 30, we have 23. So meaning that 23, which is the same thing with this particular radius here, because this radius is done with this arc is done with radius 23. That means we've gotten it already. So what we now do is open to 30, radius 30. This radius 30. Then here from this side is 1.3. This from this center here upward is 1.3. Same thing applies here, 1.3. So we'll now put this compass that is at radius 30 to mark the arc of radius 23. So this becomes the center to draw, and the arc is already radius 30. So this becomes the center to draw our arc that will become internally tangential to this part, as you can see it. The same thing applies here. mark this part because it's already radius 23. Then we'll put it here. Draw. Good. So we've justified this radius us, right? We justify that. So next is to extend this center line. So having extend that, the distance between those two lines is 34. So and what's the half of 34? That's 17. So we will open this. We put this as 17. So we'll mark this side. That is 17 will be at the center. Marked here and here 3.4. Good. So now, or you see that you place it this way. Set the set square. Set the set square. Yeah. So that is we are setting our ruler. So that this line will be parallel to this part, the center line. So we'll draw this line. And we'll draw this line from on that point. Good. Then now there's a arc here, which is radius 55, and the arc here is radius 20. So what we'll do is, and if you look at the arc, it's forming external tangency. That is tangential to this particular arc externally. That is, it's moving outward. When you draw the arc, it's going to move outward. The same thing also applies here. It's going to move outward. That means we are adding. That means we are going to add. But before we do that, we're going to draw another parallel line. In order to find the center for radius 55, we do another parallel line to this line at radius 55, another parallel to this line at radius 20. Radius 20 to this. That is, measure 55 to this side, then first 20, parallel line, radius 20. Here is 55. So what you do is set your set square. So now, having gotten that, then we want to get the other center. Now, what we'll now do now is, you see, this arc is externally tangential to this radius 53, and this is the center for radius 53. So to now be able to get the center for this radius 55, that will be tangential to this arc and also tangential to this line, and it's going to be an external arc, because if you look at the arc, it's going outwardly, it's tangential to the point and moving outwardly. So that is what I mean. Unlike this other one, and when we drew it, it enter into, so it is internally. Then when the arc is moving away, it becomes external. So and under the principle, it says whenever it's moving away, you add the radius that is to be tangential to the initial radius, and through the center of the initial one, you will now find the center for the arc that will be tangential to the initial arc. So now I open my compass tool. Now what's the addition of 55 plus 53? We will have 108. 108. Put it here. Mark. So now, but for this side, so this is the center. So you now open your compass to, assuming that you open your compass to 55 back now to the radius of what is given, 55, because this is the center for it now. Open your compass to 55, then put it at the center here, then draw your arc. Now, what I mean by externally, you can see now it moves outward. That's what I mean by external. So I will now draw it again. I will retrace it, starting from where it becomes single line. with the line. Okay, and once it becomes single line with the initial arc, you stop. Okay, so here this one is 53. Let me also trace that back. Let me also clean the extension that is over here. Okay, good. Then, so we are done with this side. Let's come. Though I reduce my compass back to 30 to retrace that point 30. Okay, so now then we move to this other side. So now for this other side, it reduces 20. So and it's tangential to reduce 30, not reduce 53. So and it's also externally. That is, whenever by the time you are drawing it to move outward, so we'll add according to the principle. So 30 plus 20, that will be 50. So because we will now look for the origin, that is the center we use in drawing this one, to put the compass by the time we have opened it to 50, then put it at that center to draw the center for this radius 20. So 50. So I'm opening this to 50. So I'll put it here. This is center for the 30. Then I'll mark. Then I'll the arc is done with radius 20. So I'll reduce to 20. I'll reduce my compass to 20. Yeah, I'll put it there at the center now. Okay, and here we go. That's the arc. So I'm going to now draw back my radius 30 that I drew here initially. Okay, it touches that part, I will stop. And I don't need to stop there. It becomes one line with that particular point. And we extend since radius 30 stops at this point. So then I'm going to take it back to 53, draw this remaining part. And that is it. And here we go. Here is our spanner. Here we go. So all we now do is clean all these extensions. So anything you erase by because you are cleaning, you can trace it back. Okay, this line is not there, so let me take it off. Here's our spanner. So here we go. As seen here, that's it. So this is how to draw your spanner using your Tangency principle. Thank you. So follow are some objective questions that they might likely set under this.